What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a fan favorite video, players to avoid this season. All of these players are draftable, but just not at their ADP, and this is a really important consideration. But before we jump into this video, make sure you check out the video description. We have so much content to look forward to, so make sure you're in our Discord, check out our website, and toss us a follow on Twitter to make sure you're fully prepared for this upcoming season. If you want access to our projections, trade analyzer, and our upcoming Fantasy Puck Listener League, head over to our Patreon. The link is in the description. Player of the Day is back, and for those of you who are new to the channel, I will give you a random stat associated with the player, and in the comment section below, it is your job to figure out who that player is. The random stat today is, with a minimum of 15 starts last season, this goaltender led the league in save percentage on unblocked shots at an outstanding 9.63 rate. Who is this goalie? Leave your answers in the comment section below. The first player that I think you should be avoiding in your drafts is Evgeny Kuznetsov of the Washington Capitals. After putting up great numbers from 2015 to 2018, Kuz really hasn't found his form again, where he's able to take over games and mock other teams with his infamous celebration. Kuz had a disappointing season last year. In 41 games, he scored just 9 goals, 29 points, added 8 power play points, and 78 shots. His average time on ice was the lowest since 2015 at just 16 minutes and 34 seconds, and this reflected in his production. Aside from having some offensive production, Kuz didn't really hit on any other categories. He averaged just 1.9 shots per game, 0.5 hits per game, and 0.44 blocks per game. Although he could be skating with Ovechkin this season, there's too much uncertainty for Kuz to bounce back, and he may be on the tail end of his prime. His ADP on Yahoo is way too high at 68, but on ESPN, he is ranked pretty reasonable at 186. Regardless, I won't be drafting Kuz this year because there's so many other players down the middle that have way more upside. Up next, we have, in my opinion, one of the more frustrating fantasy players, Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames. After putting up 2 monstrous seasons for the Flames, Gaudreau was making a case to be the next Patty Kane. In 2017, he racked up 60 assists and 84 points in 80 games, and followed that up with a 36-goal, 99-point season in 82 games. Fantasy owners going into 2019 were extremely happy to draft Gaudreau in the top 25, but once the season concluded, all of those happy owners were shaking their head in disappointment. The Flames struggled considerably last season, and their star players not contributing played a huge role in that. Gaudreau did have a pretty good season, scoring 49 points in 56 games while adding 19 power play points, but that's really about it. His shooting percentage was at the highest of his career at 17%, compared to his career average of 12.5%. His shot rate was at the lowest of his career at just 2 shots per game, while Gaudreau's average time on ice was also at the lowest in his career, aside from his rookie season in 2014. Gaudreau is a solid option in all points leagues, but for leagues that count other stats, his ADP is just way too high for his production. On Yahoo, his ADP is 50, and on ESPN, he's ranked at 88. The next player that I would avoid drafting this year is Nicklas Backstrom of the Washington Capitals. I promise this isn't a video ripping the Capitals centers, and I'll explain why. Backstrom has had an outstanding career, and at age 33, he put up 53 points in 55 games last year, finishing first in team scoring. Backstrom seemed to have somewhat of a lucky year. His shooting percentage was at the highest of his career at 16.5%. Now I know he's not a goal scorer, but if his shooting percentage does come down, it's likely his point production will fall with it. Backstrom's shot rate was also at the lowest of his career at just 1.65 shots per game, down nearly 22% from the previous season. Backstrom was also at a career low in average time on ice at just 18 minutes and 36 seconds, the first time in his career that he was below the 19-minute mark. I do think Backstrom is a solid player in the NHL, but his slowed production and age may take a toll on him this season. On Yahoo, his ADP is 80, and on ESPN, he's ranked at 52. Similar to what I mentioned about Kuz, there's just a ton of center depth this season, which gives you even more reason to avoid Backstrom. The next player I'm avoiding in my drafts is Drew Doughty of the LA Kings. One of the league's premier defensemen throughout the 2010s, Doughty's production has been on a steady decline the last few years. He is one of the league's top playing defensemen, where he averaged over 26 minutes last season, but his production just isn't enough to justify drafting him. In 56 games last year, Doughty had just 8 goals, 34 points, while adding a -14 rating, 101 shots, and 83 blocks. He's still productive as he does contribute to most categories, but the Kings are likely going to struggle this season, and his points are going to suffer along with his plus-minus. He reminds me a little bit of Dahlin, a solid upside defenseman that can produce, but his production takes a hit because of the team playing in front of him. Doughty is a combined minus 64 over the last 3 seasons, and I don't anticipate it getting any better this year. He ranks 253 in the league for on-ice Corsi for percentage, 313 in the league for on-ice goals for percentage, and 308 for on-ice scoring chances for percentage. Meaning when Doughty is on the ice, more times than not, he's stuck in his own end or he's just not producing much offense. On Yahoo, Doughty's ADP is 102, and on ESPN, Doughty's just ranked way too high at 59. What better way is there to conclude a video than a player that's going to really spark some controversy? Also, I would love to hear everyone's thoughts on this. The final player that I would avoid drafting is Philipp Grubauer of the Seattle Kraken. First, I want to say that I do think Grubauer is an above average NHL goaltender, and his career numbers prove that. I just think that Seattle won't be competitive this season, and Grubauer is going to suffer because of that. Grubauer is coming off of the best season of his career, where he posted a 39-1 record, a .922 save percentage, and just a .195 goals against average. To add to that, he also finished third in Vezina voting. Goalie stats are highly reflective of the team in front of them, or in better terms, team strength directly correlates with goalie outcomes. The Avalanche last season finished second for wins, first for Corsi for percentage, first for shots for percentage, second for goals for percentage, and allowed 200 less scoring chances than the team behind them. To simplify this, Colorado allowed the least shots while taking the most, the third least goals while scoring the most, and allowed the least scoring chances while producing the second most. In my eyes, almost any goaltender would have succeeded in an environment like that. Now that Grubauer's on a much worse team, I do think his stats will deflate significantly. Right now, his ADP on Yahoo is just 68, and on ESPN, he's ranked as the third best goalie at 15. That'll do it for our players to avoid video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. As the Fantasy Puck community prepares you for this upcoming season, make sure you click the link in our description to check out all of our content channels to ensure that you're fully prepared for this upcoming season. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.